Hello, everyone. A very good morning. How are you all? I hope you're doing so well. So, here we are for the another story which is motivating. But before going to the story, let me ask you a few questions. So, tell me how many of you read a newspaper? Come on, raise your hands. Okay, I can see a good number. So, in this digital age, you people are reading newspapers, which is very appreciated. And one more small question. How many of you ever greeted your newspaper boy either by wishing him or giving him some chocolates on your birthday or anything like that? Okay, we can see a good number. So, here, madam, why are you asking all these questions? What is it about? Come on, let's go on to the story. Okay, let's go on. But wait a few minutes. So, before going to our story, let me ask you three GK questions. And these three GK questions are clue to your story. Okay. So, who is the first 11th president of our country? You know, president, right? The first citizen of our country. And who was born on 15th October in Rameshwaram? By this clue, you will be able to tell the story is about whom. And he is known as People's President. He's a motivator. He's a teacher. He's a scientist. So, please raise your hands to tell his name. Yes, you people are correct. Now we are going to talk about the missile man of India, Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, former president of India. And he also has given the best quote for the children. Can anyone say that? The best brains of the nation may be found on the last benches of the classroom. So, all the last benchers assemble to hear this story, even the first benchers. The story is about children. And in this story, we are not just going to tell about him, but also there are few more elements which are being added in order to motivate. It talks about determination of a student. It talks about perseverance. It talks about parenting. It talks about social equality. And it also talks about education and important. It also talks about role of a teacher in a student life. Let's go on to the story. So here, let's start our story. He was born in a middle-class Tamil family in the island town of Rameshwaram in the erstwhile Madras state. His father, Jainalabdin, had neither much formal education nor much wealth. Despite these disadvantages, he possessed great innate wisdom and true generosity of spirit. He had idle helpmate, his better half, Ashiyama. Kalam could not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but he quite remembered that more outsiders ate with all the members of their family put together. He was one of the many children, a short boy with rather undistinguished looks, was born to tall and handsome parents. He lived in his ancestral home, which was built in the 19th century. It was a fairly large pakka house made of limestone and brick on the Mosque Street in Rameshwaram. His austere father to avoid all inessential comforts and luxuries. And Kalam tells us that he had a secure childhood, both materially and emotionally. When Abdul Kalam was 8 years old, Second World War broke out in 1939. For reasons he had never been able to understand, why there was such a demand for tamarind seeds erupted in the market. He used to collect all those seeds and sell them to the provision shop on a masked street. A day's collection would fetch him precisely the sum of 1 anna. Anna means it is worth around 1 paisa. His brother-in-law, Jalaluddin, would tell the stories about the war, which he would later attempt to trace in the headlines in Dinamani. Dinamani is a newspaper which is being distributed at that particular time. Their area, being isolated, was completely unaffected by the war. But soon, India was forced to join the Allied forces and something like a state of emergency was declared. The first casualty came in the form of suspension of the train halt at Rameshwaram station. The newspapers now to be bundled and thrown out from the moving train on the Rameshwaram road between Rameshwaram and Tanushkulam. That forced his cousin Shamshuddin, who distributed newspapers in Rameshwaram, to look for a helping hand to catch the bundles. And as so naturally, Abdul Kalam has filled that slot. Shamshuddin helped him to earn his first wages. Even after a half a century later, he can still remember the surge of pride in earning his own money for the first time. And every child, this is the reason I have asked you, have you ever greeted your newspaper boy? And also, he started his first earnings as a newspaper boy in Rameshwaram. And every child is born with some inherited characteristics into specific socio-economic and emotional environment and trained in certain ways by figures of authority. We children do not listen, but we look at our parents and we learn their ethics or their behavioral skills. We need not tell a child to be quiet, but parents can implement it. Similarly, here also, he earned discipline from his father, and his from his mother he earned the faith in the goddess. And there was deep kindness between them and also among their three brothers and sisters. And he also has three close friends in his childhood: Ramanatha Shastri, Aravindan, and Shiva Prakasha. All these boys were from an orthodox Hindu families. As children, none of them had any differences among themselves, whether it is regarding the religion or upbringing. And Ramanatha Shastri, he was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Shastri, and later he took over his priesthood of the Rameshwaram temple. Aravindan went into the business of arranging transport for visiting pilgrims, and Shiva Prakasan became a catering contractor for Southern Railways. And what did Abdul Kalam become? Okay, tell me the answer. During the annual Sri Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony, their family used to arrange boats with a special platform for carrying idols of the Lord from temple in the marriage site situated in the middle of the pond called Ramatirtha, which was near their house. Events from Ramayana and from the life of the prophet, with the bedtime stories his mother and grandmother would tell the children in their family. And till date also, we know the effective technique in order to motivate children. That is, tell the bedtime stories when they are sleeping. And now, a small story from his childhood will begin. When he was in the fifth standard at the Rameshwaram Elementary School, a new teacher came to their class. He used to wear a cap which marked him as a Muslim and always sat in the front row next to Ramanatha Shastri. The new teacher could not stomach a Hindu priest's son sitting with a Muslim boy. In accordance with their social ranking, as the new teacher saw it, Abdul Kalam was asked to go and sit on the bench. He felt very sad, and so did Ramanatha Sastri. They both looked at each other, and they were also about to weep and hesitated to this decision taken by the teacher. And after school, they went to the home and told to their respective parents about that incident. Lakshmana Sastri summoned the teacher and in their presence told the teacher should be in such a way that he should avoid inequality and communal tolerance, and they should not be built in the innocent children. They bluntly asked either to work in a proper way or to simply leave the school and go away. And this made a strong sense of conviction that Lakshmana Sastri conveyed, ultimately reformed the young teacher, and he never showed that social. His science teacher, Sivasubramaniam Iyer, though an orthodox Brahmin, was a very conservative wife and was something of a rebel. He did his best to break all the social barriers so that people from varying backgrounds could mingle easily. He used to spend hours with Abdul Kalam and would say, Kalam, I want you to develop so that you are on par with the highly educated people of the big cities. One day, Sivasubramaniam Iyer invited Abdul Kalam for a meal. His wife was She was very much horrified. The idea of a Muslim boy being invited to dine in her rituality pure kitchen. She refused to serve him in the kitchen. Sivasubramaniam Iyer did not get angry at his wife, but instead served him with his own hands and sat down beside Abdul Kalam. His wife was observing them behind, and she wondered she had observed any difference in the way Abdul Kalam ate rice, drank water, or cleaned the floor after the meal. When he was leaving the house, Subramaniam invited him to join for the dinner again in the next weekend. But observing his hesitation, he told that please don't get upset. Once you decide to change the system, such problems are to be confronted. This time, when Abdul Kalam visited his home, the next week, Sivasubramaniam's Iyer's wife took him inside her kitchen and served him food with her own hands. This is the way once we When I started this story, I told you one important element, the role of a teacher in a student's life. Teachers should always be in an encouraging mode and also help the students to build up their life. Here also, a science teacher has explained how a birds would fly on the board. But also, to the practical in nature, he took them to the seashore and showed Mr. Kalam and his friends how the birds would fly. And this flight of birds inspired Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam and gave him a sense of purpose in life by igniting his curiosity and passion for aeronautics and space exploration. As a young boy, he was fascinated by the sight of birds soaring high in the sky and dreamt of flying like them. This fascination propelled him to pursue a career in aerospace engineering, leading to his significant contributions to India's space and missile programs. His fascination with the flight of birds instilled him a desire to push the boundaries of human knowledge and achievement, ultimately shaping his career, path, and legacy as a scientist and visionary leader. And today, I have the privilege of saying this story to you all children. Hope we all become the best citizens of our country. Thank you.